Greetings, Benjamin J. from BENZTRAINZ with another in the series. Well, a follow-up on that Marx 898 that I put in the vinegar last night to derust. And as you can see, it has been very, very effective. Now, this has been soaking in 5% white vinegar for about 24 hours. And if you look at the original video, this thing was covered in rust. So I'm going to pull this out of here. I want to save this vinegar because I can use it again. I'm going to try not to spill any of it. Alright, let's put that there. Close this up. I will very likely pour this back into the bottle. I can still use it for derusting wheels or whatever. Anyway, here's the end result. So as you can see, this is actually very well derusted. Now, it's not going to make it silver or pretty. It's just going to remove the rust. I'm using a sponge, just a plain old sponge, to wipe this off. And as you can see, that's pretty effective. Let's see how as you can see, even the tab and slot is derusted. It's still discolored, yes, but 99% of the rust is gone. And there's still some here, as you can see. And you can just wipe it away. Now, you can soak this longer. I just did a 24 hours so I could see what kind of results we got. So there's only a few spots of actual rust left on it. And like I said, you can literally wipe the remaining rust away with just a sponge. So all the paint is gone. All the rust is gone. Like I said, it's not going to make it pretty. It won't make it bright silver again. It just removes the rust. And as you can see, even that bell is completely derusted. Now, this thing was in fairly poor condition, and the rust was actually underneath the paint. So, for not having to do anything to it at all except let it set in vinegar, you can see that is actually quite respectable. So the rust is gone, and that's a slight pit there. And there's nothing you can do about pitting. Nothing at all, unless you want to start doing Bondo work and stuff like that. So whether I'm going to be able to paint it, I was going to paint it red, but there's lots of imperfections in the steel from the rust itself, as you can see. So very likely, if I paint it, it's still going to have to be with textured paint. But the nice thing about this is it removed 99% of that rust. Like I said, even off the coupler itself, without having to do anything. You don't have to sand it, sandblast it, scrape it. You don't have to do anything to it at all. Now, if you just let this set in the air and dry, it's instantly going to start to rust again because of the action of the acetic acid. So what you have to do is rinse this and then neutralize the acid by putting this in water with some baking soda. Baking soda neutralizes acid instantly. And you just have to dip it into some water with a bit of baking soda in it, and that neutralizes the acid. Let it dry, spray it with some WD-40, and you can store it like this or keep it like this virtually forever. It won't rust again. And as you can see, that isn't bad at all, considering this was just covered, literally covered in rust. Even the cotter pins are derusted. I don't know if you can see that or not, but even the cotter pins are derusted. So without having to do anything to it at all, we've removed 99.9% of the rust. There's nothing you can do about pitting. And this is deep enough to feel. So there's not much you can do about that. So you can use textured paint, and this will look like a brand new locomotive. So I'll see what I'm going to do with it. I will very likely paint it with a textured paint. So the next thing I'm going to do is, once this is dry and I've deactivated the acid, I'll do a video on filling in these holes. This is really straightforward. You can take a really, really battered old locomotive, and if you're willing to put a few minutes of your time into it, you can turn it into a really nice custom locomotive. Whatever color you choose, black, red, yellow, purple, green, doesn't make any difference. But as you can see, that doesn't look bad at all. And so just put this down in some hot water, scrub it with soap and water, a Scotch-Brite if you want to. But the nice thing about it is you didn't have to sandblast it or scrub all the rust off of it. The acid has literally removed all of it. So I'm going to make a clear plate to go here. I'll just put a piece of tape over the back of this and then fill this with clear epoxy. So it won't be a number board, but it'll look like one. But as far as these holes go, I'm going to fill these in with epoxy putty and finish them smooth, and it won't show at all. So anyway, I just wanted to do a follow-up video on removing rust, derusting steel again with acetic acid, plain vinegar, 5% white vinegar. So I need to get this into some water and get the acid off of it and then deactivate it. But as you can see, the rust is gone. There's a bit of pitting, but not terrible. And I'll get this deactivated, dry it, spray it with some WD-40. Then it can sit on a shelf for as long as you need it to. But anyway, I just wanted to do a quick follow-up video on derusting steel with 5% white vinegar. As you can see, I haven't done anything to this at all. It's been sitting in that bag for 24 hours, and the rust is gone. Like I said, it's never going to make it pretty again. It won't turn it silver. It just removes the rust. And there's nothing you can do about the pitting. The pitting is actually, the rust has eaten the steel. And unless you want to sit here with Bondo and fill all this in and then sand it, there's really nothing you can do with it except use a textured paint. But the rust is gone. That's the important part. And then as far as this vinegar goes, I'll pour this back in the bottle. It still has enough strength to continue to use it to derust wheels, axles. It may have enough power to actually derust another full-size locomotive. But in any case, I just want to do a quick follow-up on this. As you can see, it worked. It worked really, really well. And you can see how it's changing color as it dries. And like I said, if you let this sit as it is, in 24 hours, it'll be completely covered with rust again. And it'll just be surface rust, but that's why you have to get the acid off of it and you have to neutralize it. So I'll rinse this and put it down in a sink of hot soapy water, scrub it, add some baking soda, that'll deactivate the acid, dry it, spray it with WD-40, and then I can start working on filling in these holes. Like I said, I'll just use epoxy putty and then let that cure, sand these smooth, and then when you paint over it, it'll be virtually invisible. You'll never know if there were holes there. So just a quick follow-up. Like I said, even the cotter pins are derusted. The tab and slot is completely derusted. And you didn't have to do anything to it except wait. So just a quick follow-up video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email. BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.